We'll begin with the Secretary General of the Nigerian Red Cross Society, Abubakar Kende, where he has expressed a discontent with the lack of respect for international humanitarian laws in Nigeria. Kende is also not happy about the abduction of aid workers by non-state actors. Our Rice correspondent Georgina Ndukwe-Zanyika reports.
The Nigerian Red Cross Society is as old as Nigeria. It was established through an act of the Parliament in 1960. The act, referred to as the Nigerian Red Cross Act of 1960, Cap 324, states in Section 5, Subsection 1, that the society shall be recognized by the government of the Federation as a voluntary aid society.
Many aid workers have been highly demoralized today because the crisis is also affecting them. They are not left behind. Many have been taken captives, many are also killed for doing their humanitarian aid work. So this is a big challenge for us. And we continue to disseminate the international humanitarian law because they say even war has boundaries. So it makes no sense for one who is all out to support people humanitarianly, irrespective of their agitations, are now becoming the vulnerable people. So it's a very big challenge for us. The demands for humanitarian services today in Nigeria is a daily situation, and it is also across Nigeria. Previously, we had 2014 the major challenge based in Northeast, but the conditions, the situation for humanitarian crisis has now engulfed the entire country, from Southeast, the captivity, from the IPOPs, from the you go to Southwest. I mean, issues are just rising all over. I mean, this is really a confounding situation. It is making the little resources we have from well-to-do Nigerian citizens, from international community, being highly depleted that it's not able really to meet the demands of those people who are made vulnerable. So resources is one of the big gaps we have.
While the society has had its own share of inadequate resources, the Red Cross is appealing to the government at both federal and state level, as well as the citizens, to support the work it does.
Part of the way to get around that, not to rely only on international humanitarian funding, but we should also pay equal efforts for domestic funding. We hope that we can get support from the Nigerian government, not only at the federal level, but also at the state level. I hope that we can get support from the public in general that need different engagement plans, that need different level of trust and confidence, and maybe rearranging the priorities and the relationship domestically. But I believe for sustainability and for future going forward in country like Nigeria, we as a Nigeria Red Cross need to pay attention more for the domestic and for the national engagement with the public and partners in Nigeria.
At the annual general meeting of the Council, the humanitarian organization is urging the federal government to ensure that the kidnapped aid workers are released. Georgina Ndukwe-Zanyika, Arise News.
And joining us now to take a look at this issue is the coordinator of organizational development with the Nigerian Red Cross, that's ANDRONICUS ADEYEMI. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, Mr. ADEYEMI. And of course, the lack of respect for international humanitarian laws is not synonymous to Nigeria, but how bad is the situation here in the country?
Yes, it's not synonymous to Nigeria. In every part of the world where you see conflict, situations of violence, you see lack of respect for international humanitarian law existing. For instance, with AISHA, International Humanitarian Law, what we call Geneva Conventions or Law of Wars, the premises, personnel, vehicles, and our materials all to be respected. They are invaluable. And once they are being attacked, they are committing war crimes. And though we continue to disseminate to all these, but because of the special, it's like asymmetric warfare going on, what we call guerrilla warfare. And they normally target soft targets that are not having capacity for resistance. And these are the things just to make, but because of our independence, neutrality, and to be able to carry out our humanitarian mandate. This is part of the forum which we can use to really disseminate, so that they should know once our premises, personnel, vehicles, and equipment are being attacked, they are committing war crimes.
Absolutely, committing war crimes. But beyond all of that, the fact that it has a bigger impact, because when you attack a humanitarian worker, you're actually taking away medicine, you're taking away food from people who really need it. But in all of it, what more can be done by government at all levels in Nigeria or across the globe, really, to protect humanitarian workers? Because like you have even said yourself, those who are attacking, aid workers around the world are people who don't believe in international laws and treaties signed.
Yes, government is doing their part, and globally, UN and Red Cross, Red Crescent movement is doing great work also. To get all these things across board to all the people concerned. But basically, just as you have said, they are depriving people who need humanitarian aid. For instance, around 1.9 million in the Northeast need humanitarian aid, 1.4 million. And when you combine the two, these are more than 3 million population that need urgent humanitarian need. And once humanitarian workers are being attacked, we cannot go, because we are also human beings. We cannot go to those ungoverned areas, unprotected areas where we don't have access. Though Red Cross, Red Crescent societies globally, we enjoy greater access, greater acceptance, because we are the first, the foremost humanitarian. We have been in existence more than 150 years, since 1863. And we are not just the first, we are also the largest humanitarian. But we are also soliciting, not just because Red Cross, Red Crescent globally have access as acceptance, but all other humanitarian workers also need to be respected and be given access equally, just as Red Cross and Red Crescent workers are respected globally.
Well, I do know that the Red Cross, for one, you do not take sides. When there's a conflict, anyone who needs help gets the help. It doesn't matter if it's from the state, from the part of the state, or victims of, the perpetrators of this evil act. But looking at the history of Nigeria, in the last 10 years, almost 40 aid workers have lost their lives in Nigeria alone. So the Red Cross and other international agencies who are here to actually do the good work and provide aid, how are you protecting these aid workers? What are you teaching them in order to be able to protect themselves from being attacked and even killed?
We have some sort of policies, procedures. We carry out threat, vulnerability, and risk analysis before we go. We have what we call notification. Before we go into some territories, we get permission notification from military authorities that these areas are safe, and we exchange notes with them. And we have several policies that are procedures, like we have safer access framework, that we have security procedures and policies that we normally intimate, disseminate, and all of our workers, personnel need to go through all these things. And we have security department that normally analyze all these risks, threats, and vulnerabilities before we carry out our assessment. But that doesn't mean that once in a while you will not have some challenges. We call them, just as journalists globally have been attacked, have been threatened, have been killed. That does not stop the work of journalism, because you are the fourth estate. People need to be engaged. People need to be well informed to take decisions, to know what is propaganda, what is real information. So the same thing, despite the fact humanitarian workers have been attacked, so we still have to reach out to vulnerable, because they need life-saving humanitarian aid.
Of course.
It's about saving lives.
It's all about saving lives, but you've spoken about your procedures and your processes in terms of what you do in-house to ensure that your workers are safe. But how far-reaching are these procedures? Married out with also what more can be done globally, really, to protect aid workers who are there to just do the good work?
Yes, you know, in situation of insecurity, is dynamics. It keeps on changing. You may carry out threats, risk, and vulnerability and assessment. In the last 3 hours, things just change. It's fluid. So you can't predict at times. And most of the times we get it right. But once in a while, you may not be able, because woman mind is difficult to predict. And you are not part of their planning strategies, so you wouldn't know. But we try our best to follow our internal procedures.
And of course, what more can be done to protect the aid workers in 20 seconds as we wrap up?
We still reach out to the general populace to help in disseminating. Aid workers are not part of conflict. We should be left alone, because we reach out to the general populace who are in need of aid globally, not just in Nigeria.
Okay.
So they need to be protected. They need to be left alone to do what they know how to do best.
ANDRONICUS ADEYEMI, the Director of Programs with the Nigerian Red Cross. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program.